W's. I've been trying to get this dude on for so long, bro. I've been trying to get that. Yo.
What up?
Yo.
Oh man.
Oh,
we got everybody.
Fucking man, we got a full house. Mr. Uber, good to see you again. Frank, good to see you again. And we got a very special guest today. Mr. Paik. Is it Paik or Paik? How do I say it?
Technically in Korean it's Paik, but I'm born and raised here. Everyone just, pronounces it whatever they want,
No, we're gonna say it right. It's Paik. But dude, I appreciate you coming on. First of all, all three of you, both of you. It was gonna just be UM, and then Michael wanted to come on. It's like fuck it, let's run it. It's a good time too. AI's going crazy. Cerebro's going crazy. All of our bags are going nuts. But you gotta tell me this before we start. What the fuck does gold mean, bro?
Nah, bro, that's an inside joke we have. Because there's a friend of ours, retarded all-time high. He's really good at this trading stuff, but he makes this joke where he put he's banned now on X, but he usually posts like these tweets saying, "Oh," with like a picture of a golden watch, a golden Rolex or whatever. It's like, "Oh, if you want to get access to the private group, it's 10 Sol. You can DM base 16Z gold."
Okay, wait.
And he'll send you the invite link.
Yeah, I've been sending the DM for a minute.
Haven't got
it.
it
Added yet. It's sent like a lot of souls so far. It's all good.
Yeah, that's the joke. Gold.
All right, well now I'm in on it, so good looks. Michael, you made this tweet. Congratulations. And you basically posted it. You said, I don't usually talk about this kind of stuff, but I just ran the account up to 8 and then basically did it again. Congratulations. Like, you gotta, I don't know, give us a rundown. Like, talk to us about the trades that you made, where the port is at, and like, for as much as you want to say, like how you got here, how you did it. I think he's muted, or he goes to us or
You're
something.
on mute.
Yeah, he's muted.
Oh, my thing was not unmuting, but yeah, so December 2023, I hate on-ramping and off-ramping because, there's just a bunch of logistics behind it, right? Like, it gets reported. So I was like, okay. I checked my one of my ETH wallets and it had like $300 worth of ETH. And I was like, I had more capital last cycle. Of course, I round-tripped it to 0 because it was like technically my first real cycle trading with real money. So whatever was left over on that wallet was like $300 worth of ETH. And I was like, all right, let's run this up. So it's very difficult to run up that small amount to anything meaningful that you could actually trade with. And so I will say, I did get very lucky. I got very lucky getting out of that little hole. I think once you hit like 4 figures, 5 figures, exponentially easier, but like $300 is pretty hard. So my focus was, okay, how do I 10x this $300? I don't remember what trade it was, but I did manage to basically accumulate 1 ETH, which at the time was around like 3K, which is crazy because the price still hasn't really changed that much since then. But yeah, and then there was a meme coin that I won't name that launched, I think maybe January, and I bought it, but I didn't know that I was as early as I was. So I bought it and I ended up full porting that entire ETH, because in the back of my head I was like, okay, if I lose this, I'm going to capitulate and on-ramp some capital. And that 1 ETH, I think can attest. I basically sold it for $1 million overnight. So I ran up the port from like 300 to 7 figures in like a day or two. And then from
Bro,
there,
what?
yeah, I was just like, okay, just
You
let's
know,
just yeah.
you know what's funny about this? This was late December. This trade, I saw it live, and this was what got me into crypto to begin with.
Hold
Because
on,
I
hold
saw
on, hold
that
on, hold
live.
on. You're saying you turned $300 into 7 figures overnight, and you're not gonna tell us the fucking coin?
Hey man, what's done is done. I don't need people looking at that chart. Like I probably won't list a lot of tickers because there are a lot of pretty well-known ones that still have not recovered from my sell. So yeah, I don't want the community for those certain tickers to be like, damn, that was Mike.
It was on ETH though. It was a token on Ethereum.
Well,
Federal,
I guess-
federal,
I
too
guess
much, too much, too much.
here's like the
Federal.
here's the real conversation here, because this is a debate people have all the time on crypto Twitter, which is, should you be going for the safe plays or should you be going for the 100x's? And it feels like everybody that makes a lot in crypto has these lucky breaks. What is your take on hitting one of those trades versus people that believe that they can't? What's your take on that whole debate?
I think you need clarity on your game plan, right? A lot of people come in crypto and like their only plan is like, oh, I want to make some money. Well, that's pretty vague, and then you can't really figure out how to optimally plan the cycle with that kind of like vague mindset of I just want to make some money, right? So, like, let's say you're from a emerging, developing country, right? And the U.S. dollar is worth a lot more than it is here in America. That strategy might differ from somebody who's like American and wants to get out of like maybe the 9 to 5 rat race, you know? So I would say if me personally, I'm in crypto to shoot for the moon, right? Because it's where all the liquidity is, you know, and it's fast paced, the money's sloshing around, and you want to find these pockets of opportunity where there's all this liquidity flying around and grab the biggest slice of the pie. Because I always tell people the same amount of effort it takes to make like, $1,000 or $10,000 is the same amount of effort it takes to make $10 million. And it's true, but the game you're playing is different, right? So if you're gonna work hard regardless, you might as well try to play the biggest game you can because you're putting in the same amount of effort. Obviously, there's like risk profile stuff here, and I won't get too much into that, but like, yeah, for me personally, if you want to get your port up, you're going to have to take risk and stomach a lot of, uncomfortable volatility. Otherwise, like everyone here would be rich, right? I'm not talking about like, people on the stream, but I'm talking about just in general, everyone in crypto would be rich if it was easy enough as like, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna keep rotating small gains and just stacking it. It doesn't work like that, because like, okay, one loss can wipe out 10 wins because you're
Yeah.
just stacking stuff, you know?
What do you think, UM?
Yeah, I think. First of all, touching on that earlier trade, that's what got me into crypto. By the way, it was watching that trade live that I was
What?
like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, exactly. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like I was just mind blown, and that's when I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go all in on this," and it was all thanks to Mike. And Mike has been super helpful the whole way because yeah, I agree with everything he just said. Like I'm still adjusting myself in the way I'm playing. I think obviously, ideally, you find your own play style because, and you also gotta think about like Mike already had some context and experience that I didn't have. So a lot of the things that I'm learning now are almost like just from me watching stuff that I previously didn't know it was possible to happen because I didn't have previous context. So I didn't know like a lot of these coins could just keep fucking ripping forever. Like and only by watching it live was I able to like finally understand that and finally understand like the actual level of asymmetry that you can accomplish if you are able to indeed stomach that volatility for more time than most people are willing to. I think that's the thing that truly separates who makes like insane jumps in port and who doesn't is that the people who really hit these kingmaker trades are people who just are able to hold a coin through like massive swings for a substantial amount of time. And that is something that most participants do not have. One, the patience. I think most people just play this game in a very ADHD style, and that's not necessarily a bad thing if it is like the way you play. But I think, you know, alluding to what Pike was saying, it's kind of like you can do that, but then like there's some guy who just goes really deep into a coin that he feels like can be one of those and just holds it, and it goes up however much. And of course, like, this is not always going to play out like that, right? But that's the thing. Like, I think what people seem to misunderstand about crypto is that, like, losing, I think when people lose in crypto, they take it too they take it too personally.
100%.
Facts.
So like it affects you very negatively in the sense that like you just get mad at yourself, like you chopped some money or whatever. But like the thing you gotta understand is like none of that shit realistically matters, because you're in a space where if you do manage to catch a lick and if you execute it right, that's the key part, right? It's if you execute that trade right, like it's gonna wipe out all the sins and mistakes you've made throughout the year, like effectively speaking. So it's kind of like these are all things I'm learning myself right now too, and I'm adjusting my own playstyle as well. But like obviously it goes, as Mike was saying, it goes into risk profile stuff as well. And you gotta like know what type of volatility you're willing to stomach. But like I think a lot of this stuff also comes with having a bigger port as well. Like it's just a lot easier to like be comfortable writing some of these coins when you have like spare liquidity to keep playing with. I think that's the biggest issue with most people is like they're always like scrapping for liquidity for the next thing, right? And that again comes from a few things. Like some people are like me, like I enjoy playing, like I want to be every day doing this shit, like, and it's kind of like not and that's I feel like that's most people, and to some people it's like an addiction. It's more akin to gambling, but for me it's more akin to like playing a video game, right? Where I'm just trying to improve, I'm trying to do better, I'm trying to catch spots, I'm trying to like
100%,
yeah, I'm just trying to get better. For me, that's what it's all about. That's like, because if you get better, you just like the port, like you get better, the port takes care of itself, basically, effectively speaking.
Thanks. That's a bar. Michael, I want to ask you, like, pretty clearly been one of the best traders of this entire cycle. Like, what inning are we in? But then more broadly, like, how do you evaluate like where the market is? And you are muted, so.
That is, you're setting me up for disaster here. I, for the most part, have been following this cycle as if this time isn't different. And what I mean by that is, like I was very convicted in December, right? At the beginning of January, I think we're going to have some relief and we're going to pump. And that was just kind of like an intuition based off of like how most of the cycles in the past played out, you know? And there's nothing indicating to me that this cycle has been different. The stuff being built and the tech being innovated, of course, very different. Where Bitcoin is at in like regards to adoption and stuff like that, very different. But that's the same every cycle. It pushes further and further, you know? And there's always new tech being built. You know, last cycle was DeFi, right? You had like Wi-Fi, you had like Sushi Swap, Uniswap come out, Aave, Compound, all that stuff. And then you saw the derivatives come out of like ohm Ponzi's, which to me was a derivative of like stuff from DeFi Summer, which is like, empty state dollar, ESD, DSD. Um, and then you saw a surgence of like NFTs, right? So I think like it's really hard for me to kind of have a thesis on like where we are in the cycle. Um, just because there's going to be different pockets of the cycle. So it's like you have like Bitcoin dominance going up, right? Generally speaking, like Bitcoin tops off its dominance around like Q1, maybe. But like who knows what sector flies during different quarters. There's going to be different kinds of like mini bull runs throughout the year, I think. Uh, but for me, my biggest thing is okay, how do I position myself for the potential influx of the most capital possible, right? Where in crypto do I see the possibility of the highest asymmetrical returns? And for me right now, that's AI, right? That doesn't mean I'm not like poo-pooing on like memes and stuff. I think memes have their place. I love a lot of memes, right? Do I own memes? No, not really. But that's more of an R&R thing because everyone has limited liquidity that they can deploy into stuff that they like. And it's up to you as a trader or investor to basically put that money where you think it's going to grow the most, right?
My
You,
follow
you
up.
want to say something?
Yeah, my follow up to that. Also, shout out him with 100 gifted my goat. My follow up to that then is like, how do you determine if AI is no longer like asymmetric outperforming trade in a different vertical? Like, at what point would you like decide like it's somewhere else? These metrics are telling me that I should look elsewhere, focus elsewhere.
I doubt there is going to be anything else that tops AI. Just because it's a convergence of like Web 2 and Web 3, right? I know those are like kind of like cringe phrases, but AI is the hottest tech innovation um, inside of like the normal tech space, you know? And people are saying like quantum and stuff, right? But quantum it's difficult to prove anything, right? Especially like on chain. So like I think someone said it in a chat. I don't know who or which chat, but I think it's similar to kind of like AI last cycle. A lot of people thought AI was going to be adopted and become big last cycle. You saw it kind of trickle early on into this cycle with like, Tau and stuff. But then now we have this on-chain like renaissance of, AI devs coming in and being like, okay, we could actually improve this space and do some really cool stuff here, right? And that's why I think AI has so much asymmetrical upside is, whatever's out today, it might not be the stuff that changes the landscape forever, right? But it's moving it in the right direction. And I think in the near slash medium term future, we're gonna see some really crazy stuff, right?
Damn.
Something as little as like an agent who's actually able to transact on chain for you, that's like that solves real problems for users in crypto. Real users don't want to be like trying to figure out how to bridge, trying to figure out, okay, what's the dex on this chain, all that kind of stuff. How do I manage slippage and whatever? If you could just tell an agent, hey, this is what I'm looking to do, and it just does it for you, that's a real problem solved, right? And those are like seemingly small steps now, but they're just going to get crazier and crazier.
For all of crypto history, people have been like, well, what does it actually do? What problem does it actually solve? And for the first time, there's tech that is like solving real shit. The sports betting AI went 10 for 10. People are
Yeah,
making, yeah, all kinds of interesting, actually like interesting technology. And I always say like pump fund is it's like the fastest path towards market validation ever known to mankind, where the market will tell you whether or not they like your thing in a matter of seconds. not minutes, not days, not hours, not board meetings, not investment like meetings or committees. It's nuts. So yeah, that's like where I
Yeah,
think
and
the tech is really cool. Yeah.
I think I love DeFi, right? Like I really came up last cycle learning DeFi as it was built from the ground up, and I was like, this is cool because this changes the landscape of like the financial industry in general. Little things like, oh, I can go to Aave, put down collateral, and take out a loan without getting approved. They don't need to like see my credit score. They don't need to see how much money I have, whatever. And then I'm responsible for managing my own risk, right? So little stuff like that, like things open up. And now, AI is going to accelerate that, which is really cool. And it has the potential to bring in more people than just like people who want to use decentralized finance. Like Frank was saying, like what if they want to do like sports betting and stuff like that, right? And there are like AI tools on chain that can actually help them get an edge or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, it's really cool stuff. I'm always cautiously drinking the Kool-Aid, right?
Yeah.
Because uh, as much as it's accelerating, like you don't know how much time it actually needs to hit the point of adoption, you know? Um, but as of right now, I'm extremely bullish on the sector.
That's what we fucking love to hear. Shout out to LARP and Pregnant Man with 100 gifted, my goats. I'll ask this to Michael and then maybe you after. But you said you fucking love DeFi and it's kind of how you really took off last cycle. Do you think AI crypto is bigger than DeFi crypto?
I don't think they're separate. I think they are going to be sort of like working hand in hand, right? Because to me, what I want to see is like, okay, there's two endpoints, right? There's the user and then there's what the user wants to do. And to me, AI is going to bridge that gap, you know, but there's still going to be like AI agents using certain DeFi protocols, right? Maybe they'll create their own versions. Who knows? We're only 2 months in. I can't speculate on those kinds of stuff. But I think like AI is meant to make things more efficient, you know, doing things that like makes it more convenient for humans, doing things that, maybe humans can't do in terms of like it can run 24/7. Humans need sleep, humans need to like eat, humans need to do whatever. AI, like they don't have to eat, they don't have emotions, whatever, they don't have to sleep. So it can run 24/7. So in that way, I think it'll make things more efficient. But I don't know if like I'm willing to separate AI and like DeFi as entities. I don't know if that made sense, but
No, makes sense. Yeah. They're gonna be intertwined. And I just think the cool thing with AI right now is that the catalysts are always like pretty fresh. So what you're describing of how AI and DeFi intersect, like I bet you the team that does it is gonna actually be used for actually be sick. And those are gonna be the ones that take off. So I think that's where I agree. I don't really see them as separate. But I actually, Thread, I want to go back because I feel like this is the most controversial thing I've tweeted about trading in a minute. Is we kind of glossed over right at the beginning. But this idea for people that are starting out that you should be going for the 100x, that like you should be looking for the bag that you let ride that totally changes the outlook of your port. I don't think people like fully understand why. Because even for me, I posted like my wallet's public, and that wallet went from $300 to now like netted about 4 mil so far over the last like 3 months. But what people don't know is like for the first month where it started with a few $100s, I was actively trading. And it looks like a blip, like, in the grand scheme of things, because the reason you're in crypto is to hit this asymmetric upside. And when you do, everything changes. But why do you feel people are so averse? Because I tweeted this and people were just like, fuck you, Frank. Like, no, like, you're going to
it's
get all
yeah.
the gens to like lose all their money in the casino. But I think it's like a methodical approach to look for the most high asymmetric upside, plays you can. And Pump Fund makes it cheaper now too. You used to have to
It's
do it like
it's
way more.
very psychological.
Mm.
Especially, there have been many times where like I was dead broke, right? When you're broke, it's so much harder to take risk because uh there's so much more at risk, right? You might be potentially using money that you shouldn't even be using, you know? So in that sense, like that changes your entire risk appetite and your risk profile. Um, I I don't think actually don't think people with starting out with not a lot of capital should gun for like the biggest trade they can. Just because they don't have the experience or the context to be able to number one, find that, and number two, uh, hold it, right? Um, there's so much that goes on with like, you see people like buying a coin and just holding it to like millions of dollars, you know?
Mhm.
There's so much stuff behind the scenes there. It's not just some dude who buys it and just logs off and he's gone. Sometimes maybe, right? But most of the time, there is a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, whether it's their own mental and emotional state. They're probably asking around trying to figure out like, oh, like when do I what am I even holding? You know? And the biggest thing is like at the end of the day, you need to develop your own thesis and conviction on whatever you're holding. And if you don't have enough experience and context on the market, it's really hard to like build that up. You're gonna end up borrowing someone else's conviction, because if you're a newbie, you're probably following an influencer or a guru or whatever, and you're listening to them. And so, like, I would recommend, okay, let's say like hypothetically you have $500, get that to like 5,000, whatever way you need to. And then like you can start putting in a little bigger clips into stuff, right? And then you start gaining experience and understanding the way like pump funds run. Oh my god, the dev, there's like FUD on it. Oh my god, it's rallying back. Like all these random stuff that might be meta specific, it might not be. You need experience, you know? And so I would tell them, hey, don't like cheat for like 1% profit. Of course, you want to make as big of an impact on your port as you can, but I don't know. I don't think a lot of those first timers are capable of finding that right off the bat unless they're lucky, which could be really good for them or really bad.
What What about you, UM?
Yeah. So I think uh, I think you just play it by the. I think you kind of play it like kind of like building blocks type thing, where it's almost like you're building. It's almost like your portfolio is a building in itself, and first you got to set up the foundations, and the way you do that is different from the way you build the first floor and the second floor and the third floor, right? But ideally, like I think you, I think that what really sets most people back is like is just like this idea that you're gonna keep doing the same things and somehow that's gonna help you make jumps in portfolio when it's kind of like what takes you from $300 to $10,000 is not going to be the same thing that takes you from $10,000 to $100,000. It's not going to be the same thing that takes you from 100,000 to a million and a million to 10 million. So it's kind of like I think Mike touched upon a point of having sort of a game plan, and it's kind of like okay, um, the way I see it, right, is you take it with each building block, right? So like um, realistically, like is it possible for you to like go from 0 to 7 figures in one trade? 100%. But like I'm a guy who thinks in probabilities, right? So uh, in terms of if I'm looking at probability, like what's if I'm a guy with no experience who's just coming into crypto, and is doing this for the first time or whatever, I don't have a lot of money to play with to begin with, then that is just like the likelihood of that outcome is very low, right? It's very low. So like the likelihood of you going from like $300 or $3,000 or even $10,000 to like $1 million in one trade, if you lack experience and you're doing this for the first time, is just pretty low. So instead, I like to look at it as like building blocks where, okay, to get that first 100 grand, what do I need to do, right? So like for me, it would be something like, okay, to get that first 100 grand, maybe I take whatever money I have now, maybe that's $1,000, maybe that's 5,000. I flip it into 10,000, and then from there, okay, what do I need to do now? Put that 10,000 into a trade, write a 10x, right? That's one way to do it. Or put that 10,000 into 2 trades, write 5x each, right? So you gotta like think like, how do I reverse engineer the outcome that I'm trying to solve, right? Or the outcome that I'm trying to achieve, right? So for example, if you're 7 figures, like if you want to go from $1 million to 10 million, right? Okay, so now you got plenty of free capital to play with, effectively speaking. So if you want to go to like 10 million, all you really need is 5 trades that you net 2 million from, or 3 trades that you net 3 million from, or 2 trades that you net 5 million from, right? So what do you need to make that happen? You need a coin, you need to own 1% of a coin that goes to 300 mil, right? Or you need to own 2% of a coin that goes to 150 mil, right? And there you go. And you need to hold the whole way through without TPing anything. And there's your $3 million trade, pretty much. Okay, so now I have more capital. I have free runway to play with and to take risk with. So like now I'm in a position where I can afford to have more patience and write out these bags without TPing as early, and that's gonna get me closer to the outcome that I'm trying to get to. And I'm speaking from my own perspective now, right? Because that's where I'm trying to go to. So basically, like, you just gotta. The way I see it is, but like doing that with 100K of runway, right, is gonna be way harder because like buying 1% of supply unless you're super early, right? But even then, that comes with its own set of problems. Where like if you buy like 3% of a coin on pump fund, like the likelihood that you're gonna hold that, like there's just not enough information there for you to even know if that is gonna be a good trade or not. There's just not there hasn't been enough time or enough information that has elapsed for you to understand, okay, this is something that could potentially go to like 100 million, 200 million, a billion, whatever, right? So it's kind of like if you have like 100 grand, for example, to play with, then it becomes like, man, like you can be going on pump fund and buying a lot of supply of these coins, but like you really only know like if something is gonna be like a huge coin by the time it reaches like 3 million, 4 million, 5 million, 10 million. And like buying 1% of a coin there is a lot more expensive, and it's not something you can simply afford to do if you just have like 6 figures, right? So it's kind of like you gotta take it one step at a time. Like that's how I see it, and then the one thing is like each step understanding what the things you need to do in order to reach that next floor, right? And then don't get stuck on the previous floor, you know? It's kind of like understand, okay, I went from 100K to 1 million, right? Or whatever. Okay, I'm at 1 million. To get to 10 million, now like I need to do different things, right? And then identifying what different things you need to do. And again, like you can be really good at this and have previous experience like Mike. But like if we're thinking in probabilities, that's probably not the case. That's just the reality of the situation, right? As I said, I'm a guy who likes to think in probabilities, and yeah, like Mike is good. not only did he self-admittedly get lucky in the start, which immediately put him in a position where he can take a lot more risks, right? That's the thing. But on top of that, like the likelihood of you having that same like like that same path is just like it's a 1 in a 10 million chance, right? So like playing more to the probability side of things, like um you just do it one step at a time, and then you try to identify what you need to do next once you hit a certain milestone, because like the things you're gonna have to do are gonna be slightly different. And again, I ran up 10 soul to 7 figures, multiple 7 figures in a year, right? So that's kind of like how I did it. But like again, people are gonna have different approaches too. That's the other thing to understand, is that like you gotta find your own style as well. I think that's also important. But I think ideally, you over time you transition to that. You know, you take the max, like you just do that thing. Like I think that's all the people that I've seen crush it and get to 8 figures, multiple 8 figures on chain. They all do the same thing. That's all they do. Like they just buy a shit ton of a coin, and they hold it for longer than most are willing to hold it for, and they stomach more volatility than most are willing to stomach. And that's it. Like there's not much else to it. Like that's what I've seen recurringly. And as Mike said, like you can't try to scalp your way there, but like it's just gonna take so much more fucking time.
All right.
And you're gonna remove all the asymmetry from it.
I got a question. First of all, banger. Also, Zero with a 300 gifted that said thank you, UM. And then Mando with 100, my goat. I'll throw this to Michael first. First of all, I can't get over that. three figures. 7 is retarded. 10 soul to 7 is retarded too. You've had a crazy cycle, but I'm curious, like, what has been the biggest mistake that you've made trading as we're into like early January 2025 this cycle?
That's okay.
Bro's like, I've made no mistakes.
This is gonna this is gonna sound not great. It's not gonna be what you want to hear, but I think majority of my small mistakes came in the beginning of 2024 when they mattered less, and they were for pretty negligible amounts towards my portfolio. And I learned from them really fast and never looked back. And so, you know, I lost one trade where I lost like maybe like 6 figs on it. That was probably my biggest loss this cycle. And it was I basically did what I told myself I would not do. Right. And I think everyone kind of falls victim to this. It's like, oh God, I can't do this. But then in the heat of the moment, sometimes you're just like, ah, F it, we ball. Right. And so I bought Buck. Oh my God, that coin sucks. They were like, oh, buck to a buck. But anyway, I bought Buck pretty high and I wrote it down as much as I possibly could. And then I realized this coin's never going back up unless Roaring Kitty comes and like is wearing like fully decked out in Buck and like dancing on camera and like shilling it. And so I was like, the reason why I bought that coin was because I chased it. You know, it was a moment of weakness where I was like, oh, I'm kind of bored right now. This thing is pumping like crazy. Maybe this is the new chill guy runner or whatever. And so I was like, you know, I aped into it. I lost a good amount, and I was like, okay, I'm not chasing anymore. I learned my lesson for the 25th time, right? And so I think that's really important. You know, I talk about this a lot on my Twitter. It's like self-awareness. You know, everyone has different like strengths and weaknesses. They have different styles. You look at the chain and you see there are certain people who are on meme scope all day, right? They're like basically aping gazillion pump funds a day, right? Then you have perps traders coming on chain, but like they're biased towards like the way that they trade perps. And so you like perp traders on chain, they trade level to level. If it gets too close to their cut level, they actually cut. And if it hits a level that they have on their chart, they TP, right? I know I have a lot of perps friends who, they make good money, but they can't hold because that's not really what they do when they trade perps. Like my meme scope friends, they can't hold either because they buy too early. And then they don't really know what they have. And then they, maybe they'll do some DD or whatnot, but you don't really have a pulse because you bought so early. And then you have to stomach all this like random volatility at the beginning of a coin cycle, you know? And so for me personally, like, I have my own system where it's like I buy higher and I don't really care, right? Because to me, entry is like an illusion, it's everyone's like trying to get the earliest entry possible, but like my focus is like if I have conviction in this coin after I kind of looked at it for a little bit, I'm gonna size in my usual size and then I'm just gonna forget about it, right? Like I held Cerebro from 5 million, and I just never sold. And there was insane volatility all the way up. Like, and then it chopped for 6 weeks at like 300, and people were basically like grave dancing on it. Those things are like not easy to hold through, right? But because at the time when I bought, I had a certain thesis and conviction, I just kind of held it all the way through because my thesis hasn't played out yet. For me, I don't care about round tripping too much. And that's gonna sound crazy. I don't round trip all the way, but I don't need to sell the top. I bought enough size early enough that like I'm not gonna be greedy. I'm gonna let my thesis play out, see if my conviction was true or false. If it gets rejected, I sell, you know? But until then, I just let it ride. And that's just like my personal thing. Um, I've done this with many coins, right? I've hit maybe at least 10 like 4 to 7 figure trades this cycle. Um, and it's worked out pretty much every time. But like you can't just be like throwing darts at the board if you're gonna do that. Because you hold the wrong coin, you're zeroing your portfolio. Like it's very risky, right? Holding only works if you're holding the right coin. And then people are gonna ask me, okay, how do you know if it's the right coin? You don't, but you develop your own conviction in your thesis. You don't borrow someone else's. Um, and then you have to have faith in your own balls. You just have to let it ride.
Chat's dying to know if you sold any Cerebro.
I think if I have sold, it was maybe like 10 or 20K worth. And that was just to send to like a family member because they wanted some money. But yeah, I mean like percentage wise of my position, it was close to 0%. So yeah. Basically no.
I have a question for you, which is okay. So Cerebro's at like I don't know 700 million. You haven't really sold any. How do you? And you said earlier you cautiously drink the Kool-Aid. I like that phrase. How do you value like these relatively high market cap coins that are in AI where their sort of target is unclear? Like AI16Z is at 2 billion ish. I bought a lot of that at 600-700 mil. I also like, I guess infamously now, bought a lot of GOAT around like 800-900, a billion. And my thesis was basically like,
No.
we're gloss over the GOAT thing. Gloss over the GOAT thing. My thesis is basically like the whole sector here. It's a 10x to OpenAI, which feels like very, very, very low hanging fruit. And the big coins are just gonna get like really fucking big. And so if you have size, like I don't know, I bought a lot of AI16Z at 700 on the dip, and it turned out to be a good play. But I guess my question for you is like
Incredible.
in an emerging something like so new like AI where there aren't like clear price targets to look at from last cycle, like how do you judge, is this thing still a 10x from a billion? Like how high can it go? How crazy can it get? Like how do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm a little different from most people in the sense that I don't have price targets, right? I don't know what fair valuation of a coin is. there's no such thing in my head. How can you say there's a fair valuation for this, right? Oh, fair valuation for this maybe relative to something else. Even that's a little shaky because there's a lot of angles people are not taking here, and you can build out other narratives, right? Let me give you an example. Cerebro. It was like originally like this agent, and people still call it a meme coin. Originally, kind of like this meme agent thing, right? And then it drops an album. Cool. It makes music. Um, and then people are like, oh, but like infra's the future. Cool. They're building infra too. Great. But like when you start talking about fair valuation, let's say, okay, Cerebro, you compare it to AI 16Z. AI 16Z is 100% leading in terms of like framework, in terms of like adoption amongst devs and whatnot, yada yada yada. But you can't like do a one-to-one comparison with Cerebro because they're actually very different, right? Like Cerebro, in my head, the conviction and thesis that I built out is there's still so many catalysts. And this is the difference that I found between trading memes and trading AI is that in memes, usually the catalyst is some like this person bought or like, oh, I'm speculating on this listing maybe. Uh cool, but like everything in between, what the hell? Like what are you holding? Right? You just don't know. It's like the purest form of speculation. But with AI, what you're seeing is like all these projects as they develop and as new things come out, they're catalysts for the valuation of the project going up, right? And so some indicators to me that I'm looking at in terms of like, okay, is this kind of like topping or whatnot in a good environment, in a good market environment? Is good news starting to not really affect the price, right? Because when good news starts to not really affect the price, to me in my head, it's like, how can they keep pushing this up? You know? Um, and of course, I'm talking purely from an investor perspective, like looking at the price, and I'm not talking about the value of like what the dev's working on or whatnot. But then you look at Cerebro, and then it's like, okay, you can create these narratives where it's like Cerebro might have brand and like IP value. You know, you get some context from last cycle. You look at all these bake investors, bored ape investors, and they're first of all massive pockets, right? But they're buying into the IP, the art, whatever it is, because it's like a cool factor. It's like a different layer on top of whatever's being built. There is a possibility that, once Cerebro starts releasing music with like well-known human features and stuff like that, there's an IP angle there, and there's like different angles that you can take. And it's really hard to gauge, okay, what's the fair valuation of that? You just don't know, you know? But what I do know is like, okay, there are still potential massive catalysts that can come. So what is the point of me selling this right now? So those are kind of like some of the thoughts that go through my head. I don't know if I answered your question, but
You answered it perfectly, but now you got to tell me, bro. Is goat cooked?
my thing is I don't like saying certain tickers are cooked, um, especially publicly because people's hard-earned money is in there. I don't want to be directly responsible for anything that happens to that money, right? Of course, crypto, people win and people lose. It's the nature of the game. But that's too direct of like an impact. In my head, I don't want Go to be cooked
Oh, we're fucked.
because
We're fucked.
because no, well, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know. That's the thing. But in terms of like catalysts, it reminds me a lot of meme coin trade at this point because I don't know what Andy's building in the background. Maybe he's building other stuff. It could be a possibility. But would I buy Go with some sort of like long term thesis and conviction? Probably not. Just because I would probably buy it for a trade, right? Like, oh, this is like oversold, it's bottomed. I'll buy some and then I'll sell it when it goes up. But yeah, I mean, it has a special place. It was obviously the first on-chain like AI token that I bought and made money from. Uh, and so I don't want to say anything bad about it.
Absolutely brutal. I think it's a good take.
That was wild.
That was brutal. That was brutal.
The entire chat was just like, this is the longest yes I've ever heard in my whole life. Yeah. Holy shit. No, good assessment, man. Andy's cooking. Andy's cooking.
Frank, do you have something or no? Because I did.
Yeah, go for it.
Like, all right. I guess I have a couple, like, I won't keep it too much longer. I have a couple, like, sort of, like, closer kind of things, but I'll throw it to you first, Michael. Like, what has been, like, your edge this cycle without, like, revealing what you don't want to reveal? Like, why have you been able to outperform? Fuck, Base 16. Hey, damn, Base 16 in the chat for that. Let me re-ask it. For you, Michael, like, what do you think your edge has been this cycle? Like, why have you been able to outperform the market, outperform Bitcoin, like, so just distinguishedly?
What?
I don't feel volatility ever. Like, I have emotional detachment from my bags. Obviously, when they go up, it feels great. When they go down, like there's like no panic, right? Um, and I feel no need to like, oh my gosh, should I sell it now? And that's probably there's multiple factors in play there. Number one, it's because like I built out a thesis on my own and it hasn't played out yet. And so it's like, okay, there are so many different kinds of sellers, right? Number one, board sellers, time capitulation. This thing hasn't moved. Oh my God, other stuff is kind of moving right now. And they rotate and get killed, right? And I don't think anyone should ever boredom sell. Like if you sell, sell for a reason. Number two, force selling. You don't have enough liquidity and you need some liquidity, so you're forced to sell, right? Number three, borrowed conviction. You don't really know what you're holding. And so you can't really imagine and dream about, okay, what can that turn into? You know? Um, actually, I see a lot of discourse on Twitter about like, oh, tech this, tech that, and, GitHub stars and all that kind of stuff. At the end of the day, pulling context from like last cycle, when we're in a full raging bull mania, nobody really cares about the tech. I'm gonna just say it. Nobody cares about the tech. They care about price going up. All right. Doesn't matter if it's the most vaporware thing of all time. If price goes up, they like that. I like that. You know? And let's not pretend like we're all here to make money. Okay? There's no like moral high ground there. You look at like the L1 cycle from last cycle, there were so many L1s and whatever that came out that were just pure vaporware that just skyrocketed. Trying to catch up to ETH and Sol and AVAX. Phantom, you had stuff like Fuse, like layer twos and the vaporware stuff that's not around today, but a lot of the stuff they went to billions. And so I'm pulling that context and I'm applying it to this cycle. And it's really hard as a first cycler to go from like January where like things are topping out like 500K market cap, whatever, and you're slowly transitioning and finally, oh my God, we're reaching like coins running to 4 million market cap, right? And then it transitions to 10, 30. Then you start getting Q3, Q4, you start getting like 100 million, 500 million runners like once every now and then. And you're like, holy cow. But the thing is, when we have mania, it's going to be 9-figure runners every day. But there's no context for a lot of people on that, you know? And who knows like what those runners are going to be. There's probably an AI coin that's going to be the leader of this cycle, and it's not out yet. It could
100%.
speed run from like 0 to like 30
100%.
billion. it could just do a crazy speed run. Like it could take like a week or two, you know? Like you had what? Cum Rocket, Safe Moon? Like I
The
don't know if you
Cum
guys were there
Rocket
for that.
run was retarded. Holy fuck. It's been a minute.
Yeah, like what
Yeah, that
Safe
was
Moon
crazy.
went to like what 17
Fuck.
billion in how long? Like a week? Like you're gonna see some crazy stuff, but the reason why I held was I realized these coins are not going anywhere anytime soon. And when there's huge liquidity influx, I want to be very well positioned to capitalize on that because you can maybe swing trade levels, but you can't keep pushing in ridiculous amounts of size in a lot of these illiquid on-chain coins. And so if you want outsized maxed out asymmetric returns, you need to hold. Like your life depends on it, right? And I guarantee there's so many people out there, probably everyone, who looks at coins this cycle and they're like, I wish I held that. Yeah,
Yeah.
Of course.
of course. You know? And so, like, I'm a big proponent actually. I was kind of touching on this with you, Frank, a little earlier, but
Yeah.
to get to 8 figures, the fastest horse is to hold something and not sell it. It's really hard to get to like 7 figures and then keep trying to like flip things to get that to 8. Unless there's something you could like hyperliquid that you can actually size into and get out on huge multiples. Those coins don't come around very often. And even when they do, most people miss them, right? It's that little slight hesitation. Um,
So how do you know
and
when you
odds
found
are,
it? How do you know when you found it?
your port will show you. I don't know. But usually for me, I trade completely off of vibes and intuition. So I don't really look at charts, can't do TA. I don't really do too much DD either. But I've just built a sort of intuition for the market. And if I see a certain price action, it's either scamming up from a cabal or it's going to be a runner, right? And it's very easy to differentiate between a scam pump and a runner. Like scam pumps are just like you see the most trash ticker and there's nothing behind it and they're just going buck wild, right? But a runner, you buy it, it starts going crazy, and then you do some like due diligence, and then you're like, whoa, this is insane. This has potential, right? So it's kind of like that's kind of just how I do it. Um, it's gonna be very unhelpful to hear that for most people, and I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm just vibes trader. I don't know.
That was like actually the Rick Rubin quote. That was so good. I do no DD. I don't know technical analysis. I just trade vibes. It's so good.
Yeah, I'm not really like intelligent in that regard. I probably am good at other stuff, uh, but I know what I'm good at and what I'm not. I'm not even gonna bother, right? And then you want to make friends who are like who can fill the gaps in your own deficiencies. If I need something like some sort of analysis on a chart, I could probably send the chart over to a friend. They can tell me, okay, here's what it's looking like, and then I make whatever decision from there. Do I usually do that? No, but like that's something I can do, right? I think that's most important for DD. There are certain people who are really good at DD, especially in this AI sector. A lot of people, they're relegated to going to ChatGPT and just kind of like trying to figure out stuff from there. But like, there are good people out there who can kind of like dive deeper, do better DD, and like those people are really important to find um, because you guys can really help each other out. You know, I used to be a solo trader up until maybe a couple months ago, a few months ago. So like meme season, all that stuff, like I just traded it by myself. So like 3 to 8 was just solo, and then I thought that was like okay, I don't really need anybody, but once you do find people who are aligned with you and whatever, it does help a lot, especially during days where people are kind of like emotional. Someone can just slap you and be like, bro, knock it off, right? That's what you need.
As you said that, 7 different people typed in the chat, what is DD? We have a
Due diligence, research.
so, seven. What does he need? Also,
I don't do it either, chat. I don't do it either.
and he got there anyways. Before I ask a rap question, Frank, because you're typing in the chat. You got to tell us the fucking some alpha here on trade stream. You don't have to. Gotta put you on the spot, but you're typing it in the chat.
I know. I have meme scope on the other screen. I see this coin size, and I click really quick, and I see the dev is like docs. So not docs. You have like a mutual follows. So I click like for Sol on meme scope, and now it just hit like 3 mil. So I'm like, yeah. The chat noticed that they're watching the wallet. So I'm definitely paying attention. I was just like, fuck. I didn't think it would run that crazy. So I'm listening to Michael right now, and I'm not gonna touch it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you're gonna channel it. That's why I wanted to ask. Like, are you
channeling the Michael
3 mil to 700 mil?
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to hit that $300 to 1 mil trade tonight.
Bro, if you already have 7 figures, it doesn't matter if you round trip like.
Oh God, I know. I feel you on this.
You're not moving your port. You're not moving it at all doing that.
Yeah. I'm like a bit, all these people that are new, they watch the wallet. They're always asking me, and I feel like I just think been in crypto for a minute. I've never seen anything like Pump Fun where you actually just get access to invest in potentially quality projects at really, really cheap valuations. And the first step of like getting out of the mud of always worrying about Sol, it just is like hitting 100x. People don't like to hear it. They don't want to hear it. And I'm glad that, you guys are saying essentially the same thing. It's like, that's the best part of this. That's where you can level up the port and then start playing a slightly different game and hold these bags more. So, no, yeah, it's
yeah, and
why would you be in crypto if not for the asymmetry? That's the big thing.
You know Labib.
Yeah, I do.
And so our background. We're involved in Silicon Valley in our startup, and I'm gonna tell you right now, they're not here, but these big time AI devs are noticing. And what's gonna happen when they realize these crack devs, they're having a really hard time raising? What's going to happen when they realize they can go to crypto and then create multi-billion-dollar valuation projects with no gate that's gatekeeping them? What's going to happen?
They're gonna buy it on chain.
They're gonna buy stuff. They're gonna build stuff, and like the whole sector is gonna transform in ways that like we're gonna look back to like today and be like, damn, that was archaic. Like we look back 2 months ago, like when Goat first launched, and we're like, damn, stuff has changed so much. It's only been 2 months. It's only been 2 months. So it's gonna accelerate a lot of these really cracked devs from around the world. They're watching the space because they want to see if it's viable, right? For them to actually do something here. And once they do, you're gonna start seeing some crazy stuff happening. You're gonna see some really crazy stuff. And so for chat, anyone who's like listening to this, let's say you didn't make any money in 2024. Let's say you lost money, whatever. Clean slate, 2025. There are so many opportunities coming. Right now, I would play what's in front of you, but you're gonna have opportunities to really make it. And so if you feel like you're in a dark place and you haven't been performing, you feel this anxiety because you see all these other people like performing really well and you're not, doesn't matter. Clean the slate, clean your head. You need that clean head if you're going to perform. And we're in 2025 now. Got buckled down, strap in.
Hey, what is the alpha? I've been talking to Frank about this a lot. Like, what is the alpha to get in a spot where you can get good at like clear thinking through what your thesis is on a trade, on a meta, on a vertical? Like, how do you work on like optimizing that, or is it something you're good at? Like, how do you do that? The clear thinking thing is like really interesting.
Yeah, so that's crazy because it's completely non-crypto. If you work on like your own mental like whatever, it carries over to everything that you do. So the way that I operate in crypto is the exact same way I operate in every other industry or sport or whatever I do, right? It kind of like it's who you are as a person. And that's why I tell people trading is basically looking at yourself in the mirror. if you're doing something, if you're doing poorly, there's something wrong with what's looking back at you in the mirror.
Damn, I was fucking. That was a bar.
Like you actually like if you want to hold like you're mentally ill, you need some sort of like self-belief, like some crazy sort of self-belief, because there is the uh option on the other end that you lose it all, right? And so what's the contingency if you lose it all? Who cares? I'll just make it again. Not a big deal. Money's money, right? I'm not disrespecting it. I'm not respecting it too much. It is what it is. It's a tool. Money's just money. And if I lose it, I can make it, right? If I make it once, I can make it twice. If I make it twice, I can make it 3 times. Doesn't matter. So a lot of people actually have self-belief issues. They're self-conscious, they're insecure. They might not realize it, but that's just what it is. They don't believe that they can truly make it again, right? And so they trade like that. They're scared. They cut too fast. They're for sellers or board sellers, whatever. All that stuff is just character, right? It's who you are as a person. If you can just like sit there, stay still, be disciplined, have a clear head, you probably make a lot less like bad decisions, right? Just staying level headed, ignoring all this noise around you. So, yeah, I think it's just a look in the mirror thing. I don't think it has anything to do with crypto. It's more of like, what's wrong with me as a person?
Damn, I got some like fucking self-reflecting to do now. Damn. Alright, I got two. I'll let you both go. I got a final sign off for both of you. Michael, I'll start with you. Also, thanks for coming on. I've been talking to you for a while now. I feel like I've watched like the last couple months. You fucking take over, and it's been sick. So congratulations. Thanks for coming on. I gotta ask you. You gotta. Uber did this last time. He fucking cooked. You kind of just did it, but lock in on it. Give chat some fucking 2025 motivation, how to make it in crypto, especially for people that heard your like 3-figure to 7-figure trade. How do you make it in crypto from Michael Peck?
Lock in. Honestly, lock in. If you treat this like it's a hobby, if you treat this like it's a side project, you treat this as like your side chick, it's never going to give you the results that you want. Because at the end of the day, your end goal is, I want to make it, right? Or I want to make X amount to make me comfortable, my family comfortable. I want to be free. Whatever your goal is, you need to lock in because, oh, I'm busy, oh, I have this and that. Then don't even bother. I'm going to tell you straight up, don't even bother. Because the people who are locked in, they're going to take your lunch money and they're going to laugh. Okay? You don't want to be that kid on the school playground, on the swing, holding their milkshake, and someone comes over and just crushes it and dumps it on your head. So you got to lock in. You got to focus. You got to be aware. The market's fast. It's always fast. But you just need to like, okay, how am I going to find my pulse? Right? Everything's about flow. When you're playing, let's say you're playing basketball, you get good enough, you have this flow and touch, right? You don't even need to look at the rim sometimes because it's like, I've done this so many times. You have the touch. You take 2 months off, you try that same move, you're like, damn, I kind of need to dribble a little more and get the touch back. It's the same thing. You got to be tapped in. You got to feel the energy, the pulse of the market, and you enter this flow, right? And it has to do with everything in life. Everything's so interdisciplinary. Everything's connected together. Every lesson you learn from one thing carries over to the next. You gotta be tapped in or you're cooked. And you haven't seen the real liquidity injections happening yet. 2024, warm up. We're stretching, right? They're still playing the pregame music. 2025, tip off. All right? Ref's gonna blow that whistle. You better be ready to go or you're getting on the bench.
Hey, I knew you had Hooper aura. That was the best analogy I've heard all day. I fucking love it.
Come on, my whole family played college basketball.
Really? Did you play?
I'm trash, bro. But you know.
That's so sick though.
But if we make a video and I beat you 1-on-1,
I'll play you for some Cerebro, bro. I would love to play that. That's sick. Hey,
I'll put 5 million Cerebro token on the line.
how much? What's that worth?
What?
What's
No.
it worth? What's it worth?
No
What's it
way.
worth? What's it worth? What's that
You
worth?
you gotta put up 5 million Cerebro too.
What is that, like 2.5
That's
mil?
like what?
Hold on, Frank. Hold on. How much? What is that? What is that? Like 2.5 mil?
It's like 3.3.
Yeah, something like that. 3 mil.
3.35. Yeah.
All right.
Something like that.
Bro,
All right.
that's
Hold on.
that.
Hold
could
on.
be free.
Hold on. I will actually entertain it, but I need one.
I'll sponsor Thread. I can sponsor.
I'll
Okay,
entertain
well,
this
well,
conversation. I will
let me stay
entertain this
Thread.
conversation.
Oh, I see an
We'll
opportunity
talk.
here.
I'll send you my hoop mixtape and then we'll
Send
talk.
me a video. I need to see
my God.
one jump shot, just one jump shot and a layup, maybe a left-hand layup.
I'm left-handed, brother.
Exactly. That's perfect. Show me a left-hand layup and a jump shot.
Damn, that's crazy.
Frank's-
He's not believing, bro.
Frank, staking 50-50.
Dude, I
They
believe
got,
in.
ban-
I'm
they
a
got,
Thread
they
guy,
got
dude.
banners in the gyms with my name on it.
Hey,
This is crazy. This is a new
I played
development.
the Ball Brothers all 5 years in high school.
send me the huddle,
Is this
bro.
real lore?
Is this might be crazy?
Nah.
Send me the huddle. Send me the huddle.
Man, if I lose, it's
Razor-
over for me.
He said he wants to
I'm
play
retired.
He said he wants to play 1-on-1 for 2.5
that?
mil
What's
Cerebro
that?
tokens.
How much
Wait,
money is
TG,
that?
how tall are you?
How tall are you?
5'9".
I'm like six. I'm 6 clean and like 100
Oh, so
and
you're
like
short-
6
You're
even and
short
like
too, it's fine.
yeah no 6 even and like 175 pounds.
Okay, so you're like 5'10", 160.
14% body fat. Like yeah like. Hey, we'll talk. We'll talk.
You gotta say something, bro.
Huh? Was good.
Hey, we'll talk.
You gotta talk, bro.
We'll talk. I got one for you. First of all, bet on me if you get a chance. Second of all, I need you gave a sick motivational speech. Also, Michael, W fucking speech. That was killer. You already gave us a crazy one. Also, it's like my number 4 most viewed YouTube video. You're gonna go. Give us a. You gotta give us like a hot.
I'll give you a follow up.
All right, give me a follow up. Also, give us a fucking low cap. Give us a coin, bro. Give us a coin and a follow up.
All right. I'll give you some. But yeah, so I kind of touched on this on our interview. Pretty much to Michael's point, where you gotta you gotta take this as a career basically, and take it seriously. Otherwise, you're cooked, effectively. I think what I'll add now is, Michael's talking about like, good news not pumping the charts and all this shit, and that's kind of how I knew when to sell, pretty much. That was like clutch. That was probably my best trade, was selling like all my spot sold and buying it back like at the Paik bottom. I'll say this. I think like a lot of people are still very skeptical and they're still very resistant to all this new stuff, and they're very like, because people just want to be comfortable, right? And they want to do the things that they've always done, and they get mad when those things don't really work like they used to anymore. I think besides the point of adaptability, I think that if there was a time to push all the skepticism aside and all the negativity and all the bearish sentiment, that time is now. Like, legit, like, you cannot afford to be a skeptic right now. It's gonna cost you a lot of money.
Mhm.
Like, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. It's gonna hold you back from doing the things you need to do. And just mute the noise, man. Like, ignore all these people, because people are in different positions. Like, people who already made a bunch of money in 2024, they're gonna tell you like, oh, like, if you're not in that position, you simply cannot afford to be a skeptic. To be skeptical, you can't afford to be resistant to new change, to new things. I was telling somebody about, like, I was having this discussion about like, oh, is AI topped? Is it not? Because this is a big thing the last few weeks. Everybody's speculating, oh, like, is it done? Are we finished? Are we just gonna rotate back to whatever it is? Or some new stuff is gonna come out? Like, whatever. I think speculating on these things is completely fucking pointless, to be completely transparent with you. Like, I think like the stage is already set. Like I was telling somebody, like I don't give a fuck if I round trip my shit from now. Like I don't care, man. Like I'm in this shit from so early. Same with Michael. Like if I round trip a little bit, I round trip a little bit. Who the fuck cares? But if I stay in the game and I go for the fences and I believe in something, I think that's the time is now. Because like if I'm bullish, if I'm bearish and I'm right, then I secure a little bit more money than if I round tripped a little bit. But if I'm bullish and I'm right, man, that is a completely different ball game. Like I'm gonna make exponentially more amount of money. Yeah. So like now is not the time, man. Now is the time to believe in something and to go for the fences and to completely ignore like all the negativity, like remove every single bit of bearish sentiment from your body, bro. Because if you don't, like, you're just gonna get lapped by the people who are just like fucking taking this seriously, and the people that really know that the time to really go crazy on this is now. Because as Michael was saying, the opportunities that are gonna spawn, like you already see it, like over time, is only gonna scale more and more and more, and like all it takes is one, and you make it. And but if you're skeptical, and you're not receptive to these things, then it's almost like you ate money. It's almost like you're basically acting in incongruence with what it takes to make it by being skeptical at this stage of the game. So yeah, raise your targets. Turn on the max bull in you, because we really only have one shot at this now. So like, now it's time to go for the fences.
Hey,
Yeah.
That was sick.
Guys.
Hey, you guys are fucking sick. Go ahead.
I think Elon Musk is watching this.
He just tweeted out cum rocket.
Cum rocket.
He's tweeted out fucking cum rocket.
Threadguy motion goes crazy.
Hey,
That's
Elon.
insane.
What's good, Elon? That's actually nuts. You guys are goated. Both y'all. Uber round 2, my fucking go. And Mr. Paik, you're the man, bro. Thanks. I don't know if I've ever heard you on do like an interview kind of conversation video thing before.
No, I don't really do these.
Let's go. We fucking brought him out. Hey, you're the GOAT, bro. Anything you want to sign off with, you don't have to. You just gave a killer speech.
Nah, man. I hope you guys. Not everyone's gonna make it, but I hope you guys do. So, anyone listening, let's strap in.
My fucking goats. Go ahead, UM.
Yeah, just lock the fuck in. Nobody's gonna do it for you. I already said it before. But yeah, just dude, like the time is here. Like the future is here. And as I said, speculating on all this bullshit, where it goes, where it might go, where it might not go, you're gonna know. If you're tapped in, you're gonna know where it goes or where it doesn't go. That's the thing, like that most people don't seem to understand. Most people that love to discuss and love to like speculate on socials and say that one coin is gonna go up. I'm here to tell, what if it all goes fucking up? Have you thought about that? Have you given any thought or consideration to that? Because I think that's what's gonna fucking happen. And I'm telling you that with full conviction right now. And it all goes up, but again, if you're stuck in these like tribalistic games trying to be like, oh, my coin is gonna go up, your coin's not gonna go up, like you're just fucking retarded basically, because you're just sitting there, and when you do these types of, like, when you have this type of approach where you're just hard PvPing other people, it's literally like scarcity mindset imbued in you, because you're basically like admitting to yourself that like you only win if only like your shit goes up, which basically means that if you put yourself in the opposite shoes, right? Which it means that if other coins are going up and yours is not, then it means you're fucked.
Uh-oh.
Basically. You see what I'm saying?
Uh-oh.
So it's kind of like don't like have this negative outlook. Like you're not gonna catch every coin, but that doesn't matter. It really doesn't, because everything's gonna go up, and it's gonna go up crazy. And people don't believe this right now. I'm telling you, man. Like, if there's one thing,
Even goat.
even go is gonna
Go, baby! Anything's
Bro, like,
possible!
I'm telling you, man. Like, I think one of the things I've been good at this cycle is kind of like being tapped in on where things are gonna go. And I truly believe everything's gonna go crazy, like in the next few months here. And like it's not your job to be like, oh, my coin's gonna go up, the other coin's not gonna go up. Oh, but who the fuck cares, bro? Like, because like everything's gonna go up. You're not gonna be special because your shit is gonna go up. Nobody's gonna be special. Like everything's gonna go up. Some things are gonna
everything's
go up.
gonna go
more than
up.
others.
Everything's gonna go up. Even what?
Even go.
Even go.
So yeah, like lock in, focus on yourself, and yeah, stay bullish. Because raise your targets, because it's gonna go crazy.
I fucking even what?
Even go.
Even go, baby. Yes, fucking sir. Hey, y'all. No pun intended. Y'all are my fucking goats, man. Mr. Michael, Mr. Thanks again for the time. Thanks for coming on. I fucking love you guys.
Appreciate it, man.
Hey, I'll meet y'all at 10.
Absolutely, and thank you for giving us the platform, man.